Yo guys, welcome back to another video. This is going to be the OP9 Bonney versus Blackbeard guide. I have some tips, some tricks for you guys, some strategies, and some deck lists, and I will have some gameplay footage at the end. But this is just going to be me kind of briefly going over everything, showing you guys how I like to tackle it, what I've learned from other players and from watching people over here in Japan throughout our OP9 meta, and just hopefully make it a little bit easier for you guys. I think if you know how to play, and especially if you're running some of the tech cards that are strong against Teach, I think it's really not that bad of a matchup. But yeah, hopefully this will be good for anyone who's just curious to know more or just wants to see some like actual example footage and all that. But without any further ado, let's just jump in and let's get started. Alright, so I have 3 deck lists to show you guys, and I'll quickly go over all of them. We'll talk about some of the key cards and mulligans to do, and then kind of just go over the main game plan, the main strategy against Teach. So here is like, I'm going to show you in kind of like varying levels of like, this is fully teched for Blackbeard, this is medium teched for Blackbeard, and this is like the all-rounder list. That basically the third list is just the list that got top 4 at one of the CSs over here, and another Bonney player that's really good went 8-1 with and just bubbled out of top 16 of, I believe, the Aichi CS. Let's start with this one. This is like, I hate Teach. I want to win every match I play against him, and I'm tired of losing to Black. You may notice there's no 10 cost Dofi here. I have other lists that have 10 cost Dofi, so don't worry. If you like to run him, you can. But just a word of warning, 10 cost Doflamingo is essentially like the one of, if not the worst, top end card we have for Blackbeard that you probably are almost, unless you're already really winning, you're probably never going to be playing. So just keep that in the back of your mind when building your deck list for OP9. This list is essentially, there are a ton of Blackbeards and a ton of Shanks in my meta. This is what this list is tailored for, so I wanted to show you something like this. I'm not going to go through every single card, but I am going to point out some of the key cards, like obviously this 9 cost Zoro. Now, you may have seen people kind of talking about this in OP10 as well. The thing is like, it's really obvious that 9 cost Zoro is good against Teach, right? That's like not a huge, like, it's not the biggest 5-head move in the world, right? But the thing is, at the beginning of the OP9 meta, everyone on Shanks was running the KO version. There were some people running the Rush version, but like the Control KO version was essentially what became the most popular, because I do think it's probably a little bit stronger in the mirror. And since there was so much Shanks right at the beginning, people started to gravitate toward the KO one. And if you ran 9 cost Zoro in your Bonney deck, if you slap that bad boy on the field, the Shanks opponent literally just plays 10 cost KO, film Shanks, and bye-bye, Zoro's gone. So it was a really feels bad man card to play at that moment, and Teach was not that high in the meta. So there really wasn't a reason for Bonney to be strictly teching for Teach. Now, as things shifted, you saw a shift in the middle of the OP9 meta where Ploofy and Dofi kind of became the best 2 decks, and in consequence Bonney also became like essentially tier 1 for a few weeks because she beats both those leaders. And you saw lists start to change from Bonney, and then this is a quick history lesson of OP9 meta, right? Towards the end, all of a sudden things started shifting again. Ploofy dropped off just a little bit, and it became like Dofi, Shanks, and Blackbeard kind of became like the big bad 3 at the top of the OP9 meta. And Shanks had to start switching their deck because with the introduction of the 5 cost Ace, everyone just running that at 4 and running other techs to kind of beat Lucci, beat Doflamingo, and beat Teach with cards like Red Hawk, 5 cost Ace, and now running like 1-2 Roger in most of the Shanks decks. You saw an ability for Bonney to essentially have a better matchup into Shanks, which was really, really important because I think that actually helped her place in the meta itself. And when Shanks stopped running the full KO control version, it actually created this pocket where you could kind of run 9 cost Zoro again. Now, I'm not going to be running him at 4 or anything, but there was a part towards the end of 09 where I was running 3 9 cost Zoro because I was losing to Teach, and you know, bricking into 3 10 cost Doflamingos playing against Teach is the worst feeling in the world, and you are going to lose if that happens, essentially, like if your other cards just aren't perfect, right? So I was doing some testing with friends, and I was playing 9 cost Zoro against Blackbeard, and I just started winning a ton. Like, it became favored for me, essentially. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is the sauce, obviously. Now, does this work in the rest of the meta? And honestly, for the end of like OP09, I don't know if you really would run 3 9 cost Zoros, but if your meta was full of Blackbeards and Shanks, because you have the Dofi, this like, you know, 8 cost Kid, your blockers, Cavendish, and Carrot, that's Dofi. You already have that. It's fine. That's all figured out, right? Hody's good into everything. You're essentially just tweaking your other top end for whatever the other meta leaders are. Now, with 4 9-cost Shanks, you're able to beat red Shanks, and then with 1 to 3 9-cost Zoro, you're able to take on Blackbeard and make that matchup a little bit better. And then we just have the 1 spicy Straw Sword in here. This is my favorite event in the whole game. If you're a Yamato player like I am, you know how much, how strong this event is. And this is just my version of a fully teched for Blackbeard list that could also stand up to Shanks and Dofi. The 5-cost Bonney is a recent tech that I've been using that's actually really strong against Shanks to either throw off their Beckman or 8-cost Rayleigh curve, or late game to stop them from getting their first 10-cost Shanks on the board, and is pretty decent into the other matchups. It's not amazing into the other top meta decks, which is why I'm only running it at 2, and I don't think this is a necessary card. Just wanted to point that out. Hawkins is really strong into just everything basically, and any yellow, any Enel that's going to be floating around, you're going to be able to handle them with stuff like Hawkins, Shanks, and 8-cost Kid and Zoro obviously. Without 10-cost Dofi, the Enel matchup is probably just a slightly tougher, but still manageable, and I still think favored for Bonney. And as far as the actual cards for playing against Teach, that's about it. Hody can be clutch, and your chump blockers are important, but we'll talk about that more at the key card and mulligan part of the guide here. So let me jump over to the second list I have for you. Okay, so this list is slightly more tame. No 5-cost Bonnies, no Straw Sword. We have 3 10-cost Dofis. This one is going to be okay, I can try and mulligan for my Zoros against Blackbeard. I have my techs for Teach. I have my techs for Dofi, and then I have 10-cost Dofi in here for the kind of just stability. I know I love 10-cost Dofi. This card's awesome. It's so good into so many matchups. Honestly, this card really helps you lock down the Ploofy matchup as well, because without 10-cost Dofi, if they do just start to high roll you and you don't have a solid defense with 8-cost Kid coming out, or if you just don't have enough counter in hand, it can kind of get tricky. 10-cost Dofi just really seals the deal. So I'm trying to show you these deck lists so you can see okay, these they're catered for certain metas that might come, and it's up to you to kind of take what you like, take what you don't like, change the ratios however you want. We're only running 10 2Ks here and 2 0 costs, but if you want to run 11 2Ks, I wouldn't go lower than 9, but 9 2Ks and 3 0 costs, that's totally fine. I am no Bonney aficionado. I'm not the the be all end all, and I'm showing you some of these lists as just references for you to use, right? So not much more to talk about there. Let me move on to the third list, and then we will jump into the other stuff too. Okay, so now we are getting closer and closer to what the actual list is that they got top 4 at the CS. I'll throw it up on the screen right here so you guys can see that actual list, but you can see I just slightly tweaked things. They have the 3 Dofis, which if Blackbeard is high up in the meta, I honestly don't want to run more than 3, just because normally I'm in the camp of he's not searchable in this build, so you should be running 4 of him, but he's actually not that crucial of a card into a lot of the meta. 10-cost Dofi can be strong against Shanks, but he's only strong if you already have a 9-cost Shanks on the board, or if you play Dofi into multiple Shanks, something like that, right? So he's not the most necessary card in the meta. And I apologize for not pointing this out at the start, but we are not running a double searcher. Most people have switched to the single searcher build in OP9, and honestly going into OP10 too, just because since Doflamingo is not as instrumental, we're not running things like 8-cost Rosie at the moment, which I do think in the right build is actually still strong. But since we don't have the high demand for the Doflamingo card, like the Don Quixote cards, we're just running a single searcher to basically allow us to run more counter, more tech cards, and have better ratios in my opinion. So this is going to be a slightly harder matchup against Blackbeard, but you're still managing against Shanks, and you're still managing against Blue Dofi, you're still managing against Ploofy, and whatever might be coming your way, right? This has a little bit more counter, a little bit more defense with the full 8 2-cost blockers and the 3 6-cost Hawkins. This is essentially where Bonney ended up at the end of OP9 over here in Japan. Most people were just running essentially this list with some small tweaks here and there, and I do like it. I like it a lot. It's actually really strong. If you're a doubter of the 3 Dofi, which I have been for so long, and trust me, just if you're in a similar meta as we were, like if you find yourself in a similar meta, try this out. I think you actually might like it. Feel free to try and run some other stuff. And I'm not here to say the double searcher is wrong in OP9. I think you can still run double searcher. I just think it's a little bit weaker against stuff like Shanks and Blackbeard. And if those are going to be immediately at the top of the meta for you guys in the West, that's just something to think about. But yeah, so these are the lists. I think I went over most of everything that's important in the first list. So let's jump over to like the key cards and the mulligans, and then we'll jump into the actual game plan. All right, so these are the key cards in my opinion. What you mulligan for is if you run Zoro, you mulligan for Zoro. The thing is, this is the matter of the fact is, if you get 2 Zoros on the field and they don't KO one before the second one comes down, you win. You just win the game. It's like weirdly that simple. Who would have thought 9-cost Zoro is a good card if he sticks? Like, you know, we all know this, right? But it's like always easier said than done, right? But against Blackbeard, if they're spamming 10 costs, normally they don't. Sometimes they do, but normally they don't have the like the time to stop, like not play another 10 cost and like KO something. I think if you play 9 Zoro, they have one shot to either not play their first 10 cost teach and try and KO Zoro, or if they already have one on the board, to try and not play the second one and KO Zoro. So you have to be careful, because if the Blackbeard player is really good and they like know that if they don't have to play the 10 cost teach and they can just KO Zoro, it can put you in a bit of trouble, which is why you want to try and have them kind of on the ropes by the time you already have a character or two on the board by the time you play Zoro. But that's kind of getting into the nitty gritty, so let's stick to the cards. Most 2 important cards in my opinion, Zoro and Hawkins. Hawkins is really strong against Blackbeard because yes, he can KO it with Black Hole, and yes, he can just nullify his blocker effect just by throwing the Black Hole on him. But it requires cost reduction, and late game it's really hard for Blackbeard to do cost reduction and use Black Hole, because during the early game and mid game you need to be KOing and attacking into all of his characters, especially the cost reducers. So if all things go well, they don't have any cost reducers on the field, and when they play their 10 cost teach and they swing 5k with leader, you get a free block every turn. And this is where the importance of the chump blockers come in, because what you can do is you block the 5k swing with Hawkins, and then you have a Rosie or a 2-cost killer on the board. So if they want to swing in with a 12k teach, if they have the ability to do so, if they're gonna be fine by still swinging with one of their 10 costs, you just save Hawkins or block your life with the 2 cost, and hopefully you have another one to go like the next turn, right? So these are kind of the 3 main things. Hody is good if you can kind of like catch your opponent off guard. If they play down a Burgess that's only like 5 or 6k and they don't use leader effect, you just Hody that bad boy, rest it, and swing into it like full force. Shanks is really strong because he's an 11k, and a lot of people think that Shanks is bad against Blackbeard. Shanks is really good against Blackbeard, which makes him easy to run at 4 because it's good against Shanks and it's actually good against Blackbeard. Being an 11k means that as soon as your opponent has the 10 cost teaches on the board, it only requires 1 Dawn to require a block and a counter out of them, which late game becomes much more difficult for Blackbeard. So Shanks is essentially your condition for like to just KO their Burgess or start taking out their 10 cost teaches by either swinging into them, or if they're at 0 life, you swing higher than their teach and they have to block, and if they don't have the counter, they lose their 10 cost, right? Apu is strong because it's a 2 cost. 1 costs are very weak against Blackbeard because they can just KO it for free with Doc Q. This is something to keep in mind. You can throw down an Apu early and just have it as another character for if they spam out multiple Lafittes, you can swing into them. It helps you can swing into a Doc Q. Being 3k power is actually pretty strong. You can attack into them. You can attack into the leader with this guy too, making it a 5k. The other Apu is actually pretty strong because a lot of the time they're not using leader effect early against Bonney, which they shouldn't be. And being able to rest their Lafitte or Doc Q or Vasco shot that they throw down early, you can punish them for that if they make that mistake. And of course, Straw Sword, this doesn't need any explanation. A really amazing card that we just don't have a lot of room to run more than 1 of, really. Like, you can run 2 if you really want, if you're a Giga Chad. But I think having 1 in certain builds, if there's a lot of Blackbeards in the meta, is okay, because it's searchable off Bonney, right? So those are the key cards that we have here. And as far as mulligan, I like taking first. I think a lot of people prefer to take second so that you steal the curve, the second curve away from Blackbeard. But in my opinion, I want them to start playing 10 cost teaches faster, because that way they have less time to deal with my board. Because the first few turns, I'm not going to be swinging into them, and I'm about to go over the strategy, but essentially we're starving Blackbeard for like at least the first half of the game, right? And I like to go first because not only if I have Zoro, I want to play him as fast as I can, because if I'm on 9 Dawn and I play Zoro and they're at 10 Dawn, they have to choose between either playing their 10 cost teach or getting rid of my Zoro. And you can play Shanks first too. Like it depends on the situation, but just getting one of those 9 costs down is really, really strong. And the fact that they're gonna be playing a 10 cost teach almost every single time they go to 10 Dawn, so me not leaving up a Dawn for leader effect doesn't matter, because you always play 10 cost teach first to nullify the Bonney leader effect. So we're essentially getting like not punished for not having a Dawn up, and we're getting what is gonna be our like finisher on the board as quickly as possible. Because if you have 2 Zoros, you play Zoro, they play 10 cost teach, you play another Zoro, they can play another 10 cost teach, but they can only stop 1, right? That's the whole point here, is like if you get 2 Zoros on the field, you win. But honestly, a Zoro and a Shanks is almost just as strong, because you're just the amount of pressure you're gonna have. Like if you get a Hawkins that sticks into a Zoro, into a Shanks, you're sitting pretty. As long as you have some chump blockers or another big body to back that up, you're gonna be fine. So that is why I like going first. There are arguments to take second to slow down their 10 cost teach and like allow you to establish your own board more. But just personally, I like going first. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the game plan. I'll try to keep this as short as possible because I know it's already getting pretty long. My game plan that I like, and I've tried so many different things, and I implore you to try out different things. Don't just take what I say and play test with your friends. Force situations and give yourself hands that you want to try. This is the only way you actually properly learn a matchup like this. And there are a lot of intricacies that happen, but I will give you the simplest way that I can try and explain it. So 1, we're going to starve. We're starving Blackbeard, and the reason is, 1, to me, the most important reason is if you let Blackbeard build a board and they have like a Lafitte that's getting draw every turn, they have a Laboon and a Doc Q, and you just keep swinging at life thinking that, oh, I'm gonna get them down to 1, like they're gonna be I'm gonna be able to just go for game with a Hody or something, you're gonna lose. Because what happens is they play their first 10 cost teach and you're like, oh wait, I only have 1 or maybe even 2 attackers at most coming next turn, and now they have a Laboon, a Doc Q, a Lafitte, and like a Vasco shot sitting behind a 12k blocker. That is like infinite resources for Blackbeard, even if they only have 2 cards in hand, right? The other thing is too, they're not gonna have 2 cards in hand because you're gonna be swinging at their life. You're giving them resources, and what Blackbeard needs to really get the engine going is efficient search and resources coming in. And the way that they can start that more quickly is obviously if you're swinging into life, they get that Hachinosu that they need, they get that Lafitte, they get the extra counter they need to protect their characters. And so I guess the third reason would be we're starving because we want to swing into their board. We want to get rid of all the characters on the board that we can. And while doing so, if they choose to protect their character, if they have a Laboon and they have 3 cards in hand and we swing 7k and we get 2 cards out of hand and they have 1 card in hand, even though that Laboon stays on the board, their resources are so few at that point that as long as we can manage to like continue our tempo or like get some chump blockers on the board, we're going to end up winning, even though they might like have a better board like seemingly at the time, right? Blackbeard struggles to take advantage of things when their resources are completely low, which is one of the reasons why it's such a hard deck to pilot, because if you're using leader effect a lot, you're kind of working with like 2 to 4 cards in hand the entire game, which is really, really hard. But if you can notice those weaknesses or like the crutches or the things that it revolves around and you take advantage of them, that's how you beat Blackbeard. So we're going to starve, we're going to swing into characters, we're going to drain them of resources, we're going to take advantage of the turns where they're not using leader effect. Against Bonney, you're going to see Blackbeard players either stop your leader effect on your 5 and 6 Dawn turns so you can't use something like Cavendish, but really it doesn't matter. Honestly, I think a really good Blackbeard player is just going to ignore that and just wait until you're at 8, 9, 10 Dawn and keep all the resources in their hand that they can, which is probably the better way to play against Bonney. Here's the thing, this goes for both Bonney and Blackbeard, is the time to use leader effect for Blackbeard is only if Bonney has a card that can take advantage of whatever's on their board. So if they play down a Burgess early for whatever reason, say they're 4 Dawn turn or they're 6 Dawn turn, and we're going to 7, we can just play Hody, rest their Burgess, and either get a ton of counter out of their hand or get rid of their Burgess. So if they have a Burgess on the board, then they have to use leader effect and stop a potential Hody coming down, right? Even if we are going up to like 7 or 8 Dawn, whatever it is, right? So they're going to be using leader effect to essentially make sure we cannot take advantage of them. So it's going to depend on the board, but as the Bonney player, you want to really take advantage of that. I was testing this out recently where a Blackbeard player, I was on 9 Dawn and they were about to go to 10. And for whatever reason, they didn't have many cards in hand, so they didn't use leader effect because I guess they felt it was stronger to just try and keep whatever resources they had. I just played a Bonney and stopped their 10 cost teach from coming down, right? So it's little things like that too. Like, no one's perfect. Your Blackbeard player opponents are going to make mistakes. They're probably going to not realize sometimes like the cards that you might be running. Like, not a lot of people run Bonney, so that would have been a weird thing to expect. I didn't have anything to KO with 9 cost Shanks. So I figured, my opponent probably figured it was safe, but I had a Bonney, so boom, I stunned one of his Dawn, right? So little things like that where not only does Blackbeard have to know what Bonney can do, but as the Bonney player, you have to know what you can do. Like, if you run this Hapu, you can rest one of their Dock Qs that they might be putting down, because they might put a Dock Q down, just leave it standing thinking it's fine, right? But if you play this or an Ezo, you just swing into the Dock Q and they just lost resources. Even though they're getting a card from that, not being able to KO something with a Dock Q they just put down is really strong for us as the Bonney player, right? There is also this 2k Luffy that some people like to run, just as another 2k, 2 cost 3k beater for Blackbeard. And I'll show you one more. I actually was running this Sanji instead, just because sometimes on your 9 or 10 Dawn turn, it's really nice to play like a 5 and a 4 and get two cards down. And honestly, Sanji's effect is pretty strong. But moving on, so we are, we're starving them, we're swinging at board, we're getting rid of their resources, taking advantage of when they're not using leader effect. And then here's the thing, I think this is kind of different for every Bonney player. So let me know if you have a certain way you like to do this. The thing is I think most people by now agree that starving Blackbeard is the way to go, but I do think there are some nuances as to when you can actually start attacking. Now, there are a few ways you can approach this. I think one of the ways is you can swing in. Sometimes I do this. I like to swing once. It's kind of like Blue Dofi, where I like to take first and I like to swing once and get them down to 4 life, because against 5 life leaders that you're starving and controlling their board, Blue Dofi and Blackbeard like style of play with as Bonney is actually very similar. The key cards are just different. I like having them at 4 life sometimes because it just makes it easier to go for lethal in the end, but it is very risky against Blackbeard because even giving them 1 card can kind of shift the game. And the one reason I say sometimes I like to swing in early and get them down to 4 is because they're triggers. If you have a strong board or a chump blocker that you really plan on using, if you swing in and they hit a Shigan trigger or whatever they're running, right? Like, there could be multiple. Some people even run Ice Age. So there are KO triggers that you have to watch out for. And you losing a chump blocker or something like this happens at the late game when you have to go for lethal. It just, if they hit a trigger, it's whatever. But early on, when you don't have any characters on the board yet, sometimes I like to swing 1. But just in general, what you're going to see me do most of the time, like 90 to 99% of the time, is I'm just not going to swing in. I'm going to wait. And my own personal thing that I like, because I think some people starve too much. I think they try to starve Blackbeard until he has like 1 to 0 cards and then go in like that. I think the longer the game goes on past the point of their 10 Dawn turn, the weaker we get. And I think it becomes even harder. And the like amount that Blackbeard needs to like mid or high roll in order to beat us at that point is much lower. Like the actual required like effort from them is much lower than it is for us to beat them. So I don't think it's advantageous at that point to actually try and starve them that much. My thing is, this is my thing that I always try and live by: start swinging into teach the turn before they go to 10 Dawn. So whether they're at 8 Dawn or 9 Dawn, by swinging into them that turn, they're gonna take. You swing 5k leader, they're gonna take. There is no one who's gonna counter out of that, because at that point they're probably low on resources, potentially even like only 2 to 3 cards in hand, maybe even less if they haven't gotten any like draw and resources going on. They're gonna take that first life, right? So now they're down to 4. If they have a rested Burgess or a Von Augur or a Laboon that's rested on the board, you need to clear them. So if they have things that you need to swing into those things and don't swing into life if you don't have the ability to do so. But if their board is clear or all their characters are standing, swing into life. Start swinging into life the turn before they're going to play 10 cost teach. 10 cost teach comes down, and this is even if it's just swing 5 with leader and play Zoro and pass. That's fine. That's a strong play, actually. It's not bad. I like to have a Hawkins on board by then. So a really strong play could be like, okay, they KO'd all of our 5 costs because that's just what he does. But we have a killer that survived on board, and so on our 9 Dawn turn, our opponent's at 8, we're at 9. We're gonna swing 5 with leader. We have our Hawkins. Hawkins chills. Hawkins can't get KO'd by any triggers, and we just play Zoro and we pass. They play the first 10 cost teach, and then this is where the nuance starts. This is where the game becomes really, really hard, and this goes for all leaders against Blackbeard, is once they start playing 10 cost teaches, it's all up to us and like the figuring out the best way to kind of navigate and swing into their life. Do we swing at board? Do we swing at life? And this is where my kind of guide becomes more of like, I'm sorry, but it kind of just depends on what the board state is, because sometimes you're going to want to just keep swinging at life while just playing out big bodies. Sometimes if you have a Shanks on board, you need to swing at a Burgess, or you need to swing at one of their rested 10 costs that they use to block something in order to get resources or in order to get rid of their teaches. Because my last tip here is, once they start playing 10 cost teaches, you need to be thinking 2 to 3 turns ahead at all times, because you have to know, like, it may seem like you're gonna win, and then they play their third 10 cost teach, and you're like, oh wait, they have 1 life, 3 blockers, and I only have 4 swings, and there's no way for me to get around any of these. I'm gonna lose next turn. And you need to try your hardest not to get into that position. So you need to be thinking about like, okay, if I swing 5 here, or if I swing 6 here, if they block, I can swing over their blocker, so they're probably going to take this life. So let me swing 5 here. I don't need to put a bunch of Dawn on leader. I can use the other Dawn for another blocker. I can play out Kid to play a blocker just to try and buy myself some time. There are so many different variables that come into play here. This is why you just need to like practice it as much as you can, sit down with some friends, and go over the matchup as much as you can. I didn't think I was going to have this much to talk about, but it's a really nuanced and kind of really interesting, sometimes fun matchup. But yeah, those are the main things, right? And you just really want to plan ahead and try and go for lethal in the most efficient way possible by having either your Zoro ready to go. Maybe you drew into your one of Straw Sword and you're just calculating it to where you can take advantage of, they think they're safe, but then you rest their 10 cost teach. Or maybe it's just like, you know, not swinging with some of your characters to leave them standing so that you can go in with 4 or 5 attacks all at once. Don't be afraid to like put 9 Dawn on your leader and swing over a Burgess or swing over a 10 cost teach if they only have 1 or 2 cards in hand, because if one of those is a brick, boom, their blocker is gone, right? There's so many different things that go into this matchup, and I hope this was like a nice beginner crash course for it. Again, this is just what I like, just what I've observed, what I've learned from other players, from watching and from reading notes and articles online. Please let me know if you have any other tips and tricks that you like, or if like, hey, yeah, I do this, but then I also do this, and I find that it really helps this way, because I'm still learning the matchup and I'm still trying to get better. So just for everyone who's watched this far, even just in the explanation part, thank you so much. And let's jump into the gameplay. So I'll see you over there. All right, they won the dice roll. They're going second. We're going first, and we got the Zoro and the Hawkins. I almost accidentally clicked Mulligan. This is the dream team. This is the 98 U.S. men's basketball Olympic team, bro. I don't even know if that's the right year, but you know what I'm talking about. This is decent. We got a little bit of counter. We got this in case they try and get cheeky with us. Throw down a little Doc Q or Vasco shot or something. Using leader effect off rip. Very interesting. We don't have anything to play here, so we're just going to pass. We could have swung in. That maybe would have been a good time to swing in, just get them down to 4. If you see them using leader effect off rip like that, it's actually probably okay to swing in once. Okay. Already making misplays, so we'll take that. This is actually kind of tough. Let's do this. If he uses leader effect, we just swing heavy. If he doesn't, we just play carrot and rest him and swing 5 into him. Okay. So chump blocker would be sick. This is why if they're using leader effect from the start, you're getting rid of Jack, which is actually pretty strong against Bonney. This is how you just take advantage of everything, right? Like, we weren't planning on attacking them anyway, so not only are they like losing extra resources out of hand, they're just like they're losing value from their board being taken, right? That's decent. That's kind of strong. I will rest this though. I'll take this. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Senor Hody Jones. Probably 7. Although getting Hawkins down, maybe we should have rested Vasco. I could have thought about that more. But they only have 2 cards in hand, dude. We don't get the free swing here, so I think we can do this. Burgess is just so low still. I don't think we get punished for just playing blocker here. I'm going to start my attack a turn early because we have Zoro and Shanks. And this dude is using... I wouldn't have attacked there. I probably would have done that turn completely different if he had more cards in hand. I probably would have rested Vasco Shot and maybe... Or just rested Burgess and swung with Hody to try and just get the counter out of their hand, or the block rather. So he's gonna stronger and black hole here, so that's 4. He'll have 3 Dawn left, which if he has like a search or another Vasco Shot, that's pretty good. The other thing that sucks too is like when they have so few cards in hand and they just have every card they need to like KO you, it's like a really feels bad man moment. Like, dude, you have 2 cards in hand. How do you have like, and then a Hachinosu? I mean, that's not that crazy, but this dude's ordering is all over the place, huh? I mean, we'll rest Burgess. Also, there was no reason to put the Dawn there because your Burgess is already a 7k. If you're gonna swing, one of them's getting rested. I mean, if this isn't 10 cost teach, bro. Oh, and he didn't use leader effect. Okay, in that case, we're gonna change plans. Change your plans. We're gonna play these 2. Oh wait, we can play, yeah, right, 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, oh, that's strong. Let's do this. We're gonna play Cavi Carrot. It is a little risky because we're going low on life potentially, but it's fine because this bad boy is locked. And then we'll play Zoro. We are drawing into a ton of counterless here. Finger gun. He dropped a teach though, which is really, really good. If they drop a teach with finger gun, you're so happy. I was about to be like, dude, there's no way you can KO this too. That would be insane. The nice thing though is we can rest this if he swings. It's almost more awkward to play against Teach if they're doing it this way. But, I mean, since they're doing it this way, we just take advantage of everything we can. I think we'll just do this. Oh my god. Alright, well, it's making it hard, bro. It's making it hard. We have good options all around, but we also have no counter. We're bricking like crazy. Oh my god, I want to just play Zoro. If he has any KO cards, but he would need more cost reduction. Right, if we want to go to 3, we could swing 8, then we wouldn't have a Dawn up. I think if we do it this way, it's like if you don't get Teach here, you just lose. So let's see what happens. Oh, we don't have the counter though, dude. Oh, I know we are running quite a few counterless, but it's not enough to the point where we should be breaking this bad. Teach on Zoro. 5, 6, 9. Yeah, this is actually pretty bad. He's gonna swing 5 first, and we're gonna take it. If we don't get a 2k there, we're gonna go down to 1 life. Yeah, this is really bad. We maybe should have just tried to get rid of Burgess last turn. I'm gonna do this just so he doesn't swing into life. If he swings here, though, we have to take it, and it just tells him that we don't have 1k counter. This is the most depressing way to lose a game. Hey, there's some counter when it doesn't matter anymore. If we Zoro here, oh, we can Hody. Hody, get rid of that. Leave up 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So if he doesn't have, yeah, I think that's the move. Basically makes it so that if he doesn't have another 9 cost, we win. Or another 10 cost, sorry. Okay. That's good. Well, not really. I should have just swung 7, yeah? Yeah, that was a misplay, because he just blocks this. Oh shit, I fucked up. Oh, he took it. Interesting, because he needs the card, right, because he wants the 10 cost. I forgot he can just block. There. That was some weird tunnel vision I got right now. Alright. One of them was Hachinosu, love to see it. Uh-oh. He might not have teach. Bro, what are you doing? That's just GG's, man. That's just GG's. Unless he has the 10 cost and he just didn't play it first. Okay. I was about to say. The slow 1 by 1. I'm getting stronger. Bro, it don't matter. It don't matter no more. Tell you what. Ah, Lafitte. I see. And there it is. And what did he get? The search, right? I mean, he might just use the search, trying to get 2k at this point. So we can still lose. We can still lose if one of these triggers is black hole and turns off Zoro's effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and clear his entire board. Because I don't want to lose right now. Yeah, he does that. We have the counter though. And then we just play another Zoro and then we win, right? We're playing the slow game. Damn. He's not getting the greatest searches here. Good. Okay. Is that his 4th one? I don't remember. 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. He could have another one, but it doesn't matter because we have 2 Zoros on the board now. All right. This has been a weird one. This has been a very weird one. Man, imagine if those Burgess had stayed. There's his 4th one. You can't swing here. Otherwise, I just rest your blocker. I mean, you lose no matter what, right? So it doesn't matter. Maybe he has a Vasco shot. Nope, passing 2 up. He's got Red Rock probably, or Red Hawk. All right, do this. Now even if we hit the trigger, we're fine. He only has 2 cards in hand. He can't get out of this. He has to take it. We'll go in with this guy. Oops. And that's GG's. GG's to them. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think you can. I mean, we high rolled. We got 2 Zoros and we had the Straw Sword just in case, but I don't think you use leader effect from turn 1 or whatever they did this turn. Yeah. They did get pretty unfortunate with some of their searches and stuff too. I will give them that. But oh well, GG's to them. That was an interesting one. Alright. Let's stick to the game plan. This could be kind of rough, dude. That's fine. Honestly, I would so much rather see Lafitte over something like Hachinosu into This Is My Age. And then they just play Lafitte the next turn. Like, this is so much better. Still, we have a not strong turn, but if we can draw into a Hawkins, we're like in a okay spot, I think. Unfortunately, I'm probably gonna take this if he just swings 5 and plays Burgess. I don't think it's worth it to get rid of either of these counter. Not what we want to see. We're just bricking. We're just bricking now. Aw, Laboon. Okay, that's fine. Kind of. Oh, and he used Black Hole, so we can't even do that. This is rough, man. This is rough. Probably just double blocker. Probably KO Rosinante here. But in order to do that, I mean, he's either gonna use Black Hole or Doc Q, right? And then he swings 5 and plays Burgess. Yep. So he's just gonna swing 7. What is he gonna play next turn? I think we just block here. That might not be the right play, but I'm feeling he's gonna like double Burgess me next turn. Okay, good. Oh, we got the Hawkins. Alright, if he takes this, we play Hawkins. If he doesn't, we play Hody and swing over Laboon. At 4 cards, this is a hard decision to make as the Blackbeard player. It's not crazy if he lets this go. Yeah, okay. Alright, okay, we have a shot here. Honestly, we have a shot. We have a real shot. If we can like draw into our Zoro maybe. But this is, I mean, dude. A double Burgess here hurts bad. Or just Laboon Black Hole. I mean, that's why you let it go, right? Oh, bro. Oh, bro. Their finger gun. Dude, it's just rough, man. Yet another one, too? Holy crap. Alright, do this. Oh my god, dude. I've been playing some Blackbeard games, like warming up and earlier today, and the triggers that my opponents have been getting is just like, it's insane, dude. I haven't seen this much trigger, them getting triggers like this ever in an entire format of like playing against Blackbeards. I think it's just one of those days. Hopefully this will be a good game for you guys though. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. So we can go 5. 5. Yeah. 5, 5, 8. If he blocks this, we go 5, 5, 8. So he didn't block it. Oh, we can still go 5 here. Yeah, and then 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. It's literally like our only hope. Please help me, OP1. You're my only hope. Go get him, Apu. Get him. Get him, boy. The good thing is he doesn't have Hachinosu. So it's harder. I mean, we're giving him a lot of resources here. So it's getting harder for him to just have the 10 cost teaches. We are giving him resources here, but I mean, we're in a good spot comparatively. Oh, they dropped one too. The one silver lining of Shigan is they can drop 10 cost teaches into the trash, which they cannot get back. I swear to God, dude, if they ever make like a hogback, like get a 10 cost out of the trash card for teach, that game is over. The game is over. I mean, Kuzan's halfway there, but this is still OP9 we're talking about. So that's great. Love to see it. But this is where he just plays double Burgess. If he's not finding a teach here, that's actually huge. If he's not finding a teach here, and if he's not just playing Lafitte because he'd rather set up, like if he doesn't have the 10 cost, even double Burgess here like doesn't really kill us. I mean, double Burgess plus leader effect puts him down to, well, he's gonna draw a card, right? Puts him down to 2 cards then. But like Burgess Vasco shot would be really strong. But if he attacks this turn, this bad boy gets rested, and then okay. Why do I even open my mouth, bro? If he attacks though, this gets rested, and we probably just, if he plays Vasco shot, that would be pretty strong. He could actually just swing in with his 12k, play Vasco shot, use leader effect. Vasco shot, Burgess. Okay, well, interesting. Vasco shot, Burgess, another searcher or something. But that's like only if his hand is perfect, right? Right? Okay, alright. Fair enough, good sir. So what we do here is we just go 12 and 13. While Burgess is not, okay. I was gonna say, while Burgess is still not that strong. Come on, baby, come on. We have the 4k counter, which we should have more than that, but we have a lot of cards that aren't great right here. Let's do this. Force the block. That could have been an argument to not do that, right? But if he plays the teach here, this is actually going to be tricky. I think that was fine though. This puts him in a tricky situation, but it also puts us in a tricky situation, right? Because if he has, no, because if he plays 10 cost teach, I guess he has like this Giga Chad move he could probably do where he just takes both these Hodies out. No, I think he could only, I mean, technically he could get rid of both of them, but that would be a risky move. Okay, I don't know why he just wasted 3 Dawn there, but we take it. So that was a huge misplay. You just swing 12k with leader, but doesn't matter. We just need one more K counter. All right, we get punished. He misplayed like crazy, and we still get punished. All right, so we just go 14 into Blackbeard here. Try and salvage our own misplays. So he's gone. Pass. If he didn't draw into a 10 cost here, we're in a decent-ish spot. Can't really rely on getting another Hody. We do run 4, but seeing a third one would be kind of unrealistic at this point. All right. Okay, another counter here is good. It's just whatever he can play here is going to determine basically if we can win or not, probably. Like if it's a strong play or if it's a weak play. We have Hawkins, which is good. I'm actually happy we got this. Because if he doesn't have a blocker, I mean, he's 10. Oh my god, he's 10k. I can't even swing into him though and play Hawkins at the same time. So we're just going to have to swing at leader. Okay. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We just swing 6k. Oh, baby. Rosinante coming to the rescue. Alright, we have a good shot here. We have a good shot. In the end, like everything's still fine. Them making that weird Dawn attachment misplay didn't matter because he somehow just perfectly guessed the exact amount that we didn't have the counter for. But if you're a Blackbeard, just always remember, if your 10 cost is gonna get rested either way, always just no way, you have black hole. Aw, always just swing with your 12k. You might as well, right? Actually insane, bro. I think we just block here. Oh, all right, dude. If only I could like play more than one character here. 5k, get him down to 0. Hawkins. We could even play Apu. We could play Ezo. Oh, him only being a 1k is rough though. All right, I'm just gonna do this. I think this is okay. I think this is okay. You should be fine. He would need at least 6th on. Yeah, okay. Oh, we got the Hody. We got the Hody. All right, okay. See, we didn't even need Zoro. We just need 3 Hodies. I think we'd be fine even without the Hody though. So just saying. All right, okay, stop this. Okay, yeah, that's GG. That's GG. Whoo. All right. Right, just to be careful though. Yeah. 2 7s. Yep, 2 7s gets us there. And you just did it just in case, right? Oh man. Let's get it, baby. Ezo. Get him, Ezo. GG's. Oh my god. That was almost a really rough one. I think you can see how important it is that they don't get like high rolling, get the ball rolling really early with like if you're playing against Blackbeard and their turn 1 going second is Hachinosu into search, just know that like they're gonna see everything they need to see from that point. Like they're gonna be searching like crazy. They're gonna find a Lafitte that finds another Lafitte that finds the 10 cost, that finds the Burgess, that finds the Augur, that finds the Duck Q, that KOs everything on your board, and they're gonna have 3 10 cost teaches at the end of the game. Yes, that's just them ending up high rolling, but it's really that important. But the nice thing is the requirements for them to have the like double search or like double setup on turn 1 going second is pretty high, right? Like you can't mulligan for multiple things every single time. So just know that like they're not going to be getting it every time. Even if they had Hachinosu there, I think we still had a shot. We also like we just drew into too many of the top end that we didn't really need. We saw a good amount of counter though, which I think was fine, and we saw the blockers. That's it though. I hope this game was helpful. I will try and get if I can get some other gameplay, some more games for you guys, I'll try and show you. But this is about how it goes most of the time, is if either Blackbeard gets too much resources and is able to out advantage us through the early and mid game, and then if they draw into enough 10 cost teaches, then they win. And if they don't and we see enough of the cards that we need, we win. The thing with Bonney against Blackbeard that I think people kind of underestimate is like, as soon as you don't have any more 10 cost teaches as Blackbeard, leader effect is back online, and all of our top end, if the on play is actually able to go through, like if you run Dofi and you run them out of resources and you're actually able to use his on play, it's super strong, right? But most of the time it doesn't come to that, which is the problem. But you know, if they're not searching, or if they're not seeing, they're not getting any triggers like the this is my age trigger, getting the extra draw, then they do run out of resources. But yeah, that's it for the video, so I hope it helps. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for the video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have any like other comments or questions. I'm gonna try and get some more gameplay for you guys. I do stream over on Twitch 2 to 3 days a week. We have plenty of times where we've just done like full teach or full Shanks practice sessions, and I'm gonna try and have a video like this for Bonney versus Shanks out soon as well, so keep an eye out for that. I know that's probably gonna be an important one for OP9 for you guys in the West. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It helps a lot. But other than that, just want to say thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.